everyone, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching from. My name is Adam, this is my channel Adam Sews, and today I have come to talk to you about the challenge that is running through September, which is Sew Phoenix September, which is run by the lovely ladies, which I can happily call all of my friends, which is Catherine from SewPhoenicSeptmeber, Sam from Sew Let Sparkle, and Rachel from the delightful French Seams. So Sew Phoenix September is a challenge that is basically to look back at your, not your sewing fails, but your things that you sewed early on in your sewing, not career, but your sewing progression, I guess. So your sewing journey, that's the word I'm looking for. So I have been racking my brains about the things that I sewed when I first learned to sew and that I first started sewing, and things that I wish that I could recreate that I can probably make better now I have more knowledge and more skills than when I first started sewing. So I first started sewing when I was in school, and one of the first things, the earliest creations that I can remember making was this pretty hideous dressing gown that was made from a stretch velvet that was Dalmatian print, which was highly polyester based and gave you an electric shock every time you put it on and every time you took it off, and made all the hairs on your body stand up on end because it was so static. So it wasn't really the best thing to keep you warm in the winter. So I have been racking my brains trying to figure out a way of recreating this in a way that would be more usable for my day-to-day wear, basically. And I suddenly remembered that I have got a pattern. Now, you're going to have to forgive me on this one because it is in this room, but I just don't know where it is. So I will insert an image of it here, and this is Simplicity 8659, which is a 1950s vintage reprint. And I know that I've got this pattern. I've seen it a million times. It's not in my pattern box because it's been left out for about 3 years trying to figure out what I'm going to make it with. And my thought process now is it kind of is going to be a much more wearable version of that initial dressing gown that I made when I was 14 or 15. I don't particularly like dressing gowns because I don't really like things that are long, and throughout the winter I seem to get really hot one minute and then I'm okay, and then I get really cold. So a dressing gown to me, I always end up just getting really hot and then feeling like I need to take it off, and then 5 minutes later I get cold and I need to put it back on again. So I thought this is a good sort of hybrid of the two, because it's made with, the pattern shows it made with toweling on the inside and then a fabric on the outside. And my thought process was, if I make this, I can make it with the toweling on the inside, and then I can make it with a nice cotton flannel on the outside. And because it's short sleeved, I won't dip my sleeves in food and stuff if I'm snacking through the evening when I'm wearing it normally. And it also means that I can regulate my temperature a little bit better if I just chuck it on over a t-shirt or whatever I would normally wear around the house, or in terms of pyjamas. So my thought process is I think I'm going to recreate this with toweling on the inside and then maybe a really nice cotton flannel on the outside, so it'll be super snuggly, but again with the short sleeves I won't get too hot. So that is my first idea for the challenge. The second one is sort of rolls on from that, and that is pyjamas. And I have made pyjamas many moons ago, and I never seem to wear them because I've always made them from fabric that probably wasn't that suitable. I remember making them when I was quite young, when I first started my sewing journey, and I made them out of a really inexpensive polycotton, and they were just horrible. And again, I think a lot of it is down to the fabric choice and things like that. So I have got this lovely pattern that the lovely Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room sent me a little while ago, and it's a men's vintage pattern for nightwear. And I have this overcoming urge to want to make one of these long night shirts, and I thought if I made this in some nice quilting cotton or a nice cotton lawn like a Liberty, it would be super comfy. And yeah, I just think that this would be a much nicer thing to have to throw on in the morning when I'm making a cup of coffee before I get in the shower. So I may look like Grandpa, and I may look a little bit like Eugene Levy on Schitt's Creek when David says, "Good morning, Mr. Scrooge." But I quite like it, and I think I'm going to have a go at this one. So my last thing that I've been thinking of for the challenge is jeans, and I have made many a pair of jeans. There is a particular pattern that I really like, which is an Angela Kane selvage edge jeans. I've made that probably about 6 times, and again, every time that I've made them from a very inexpensive denim, because I've always been too scared that I'm going to ruin a large quantity of fabric, which they've always turned out absolutely fine. So I need to just bite the bullet and buy some decent denim so that it won't twist and distort once they've been washed the first time, which is what happens if you buy inexpensive denim. So the lovely Lorianne, who is one of my lovely friends that lives in Oregon in America, she a little while ago sent me a Vogue pattern, which is Vogue 1915, which is this pattern here. And I think I am going to recreate those jeans that I made a few years ago that just distorted and weren't very wearable after a few washes. The fun thing with this pattern is it's made up of multiple sections. So the back panel of them is made up from about 6 or 7 different panels. And I'm really interested to see how these sort of work out. And I do believe that you can do a different adjustment to the lower part of the leg to taper them, which I think will be really helpful for me. Oh, they haven't actually. Looking at the images now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because it's not actually very clear even when you look at the pattern photo on the front, but they actually have the option of a zip in the front, in the side seam at the lower part of the hem, which I don't think I will do, but it's an interesting pattern requirement, or whatever you want, a pattern choice. But yeah, I really like the different panels on the back here. I'm thinking that if I maybe got I might get a patterned denim of some sort. We'll watch this space. So yeah, I will keep you all updated throughout the month on how I'm getting on with my SewPhoenix projects. If you haven't seen anything about the SewPhoenix challenge yet, if you type I'll pop the hashtag in the description box, so you should just be able to click it and then it should come up with a playlist of all the videos. If not, head over to Sam, Rachel, or the lovely Catherine's YouTube and Instagram, because they are posting daily on their stories of who the vlogger is for that day. So I will talk to you all soon. Happy sewing, and let's crack on with some rebirths of old makes, and I will talk to you all soon. Ciao for now.